Hello, welcome back to Movies TV Mad. You can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Mad. Smash the like button if you love me. Subscribe if you're new. Please have your say. A very good evening and welcome to Sunday Night Live with Mick here on Movies TV Mad. What are you gangsters saying? Charles Austin, Kal-El, sir. Kal-El, recent reports suggest that Zaslav and Gunn were lost in Cyprus. We demand you extradite them to the authority of cinema for butchery of DC live action. Kal-El, Charles Austin. So a very good evening. This morning on the DC Universe Daily, we looked at what went wrong with the DCEU. Tonight, we do the big autopsy on the Flash movie. And basically, it's not like smartasses are saying on Twitter, there are so many reasons this movie failed and so many people living in denial why this movie failed. So first of all, Ezra Miller is the elephant in the room. He's not the biggest reason, surprisingly, this movie failed. But the planning of this movie, before a script was written, before a shot was taken, was the real problem. That's why this movie was never going to succeed. Hamada set this movie up to move away from the Snyderverse and create a new timeline. The DCU, as I affectionately call it. It was going to be Supergirl, Batgirl, and Wonder Woman and Beta Male Shazam, who can never keep his big gob shut anyway. That was the future of the DCEU. Most things on HBO Max, not in cinemas, like Blue Beetle originally was going to be on Max. And Batgirl, before it was shelved, was going to be on Max. Green Lantern, a show about Green Lantern, was going to be on Max. So I don't know what they were actually going to release in cinemas after The Flash and Aquaman and The Lost Kingdom. The removal of Henry Cavill and being replaced by Sasha Calle's Supergirl, no disrespect to the kid, she's great, and I actually have so much sympathy for her. But that was a bad decision. The removal of Henry Cavill, not the removal, the plans never to have him in the movie by Hamada. Another reason that this movie failed. Another reason was the announcement they were bringing Cavill back. And then 2 months later, maybe 3, they announced they wasn't bringing Cavill back. Another clusterfuck amongst clusterfucks. Of course, the Snyder fans constantly boycotting this and spreading propaganda about DC and WB, etc., wasn't helping it. The mass boycotts of this movie are there for Miller because of the treatment of the Snyders, because of the treatment of Henry Cavill. And another reason why this movie failed as well, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He was basically, Jeffrey Dean Morgan and the other woman were cast from the beginning as Martha and John, what is it, Jonathan Wayne? What's his name? Thomas Wayne, not Jonathan Wayne. Thomas Wayne. They were cast because Zack was planning to do a Flashpoint movie where he's basically Killer Batman and she's the Joker in Flashpoint. That's why he cast such big, talented actors in the first place. Jeffrey Dean Morgan was done dirty because they decided to go for old man Keaton, the biggest member berry you can get. Keaton didn't work. That was their plan, to get mass openings and great word of mouth and hype for this movie. Michael Keaton, it failed. Hamada's plan never worked. Then there's the terrible presentation of this movie. They released this movie half-cocked. And I'm beginning to believe that this movie was 100% made by AI. And when you look at the incompletion of the editing, the VFX, it does look like an AI project. These are some of the reasons I believe this movie failed. Then they decided to get all the fanboys and fangirls and show them the movie weeks before it was released. Because, of course, Top Gun Maverick was having so much confidence. So if that was released, if that was shown at CinemaCon, it must mean they were confident about The Flash. They were never confident about this movie. They were fabricating confidence in this movie. Charles Austin, they should have never screened this movie early to people, and they should have advertised Ezra a lot more than they did, instead of counting on nostalgia. Well, they were hiding Ezra for obvious reasons. Ezra was a very naughty they, them, and they didn't know what to do with them. You just watch how they throw them under the bus now. There'll be no support or no protection for Ezra Miller. And James Gunn's been very, very ruthless. And something else to think about. Kal-El, you can see the original footage by the cinematography. The tones are inconsistent. They painted over it and changed the dialogue. Amazing. Charles Austin, a naughty they, them. So, here's something else for you to digest, right? Let this digest, right? Very, very slowly, like a steak, like a thick steak, right, in your stomach. They brought in George Clooney, the most unpopular Batman of all time, and deleted a cameo with Henry and Gal as Wonder Woman and Superman together. They took that out and replaced them with the worst Batman, the most unpopular Batman of all time. It's insane. These are insane decisions. Then there's the muddying of the waters and the confusion that fans are coming to me with. Mick, we don't understand. Wasn't this supposed to reset a new timeline? Well, we get a new timeline in the end, but it looks like it's a dead end for Ezra Miller, and it doesn't look like this is going to be the timeline we're going to get. But who the fuck knows? It is insane. Kal-El, look at the third act. The two Ezra's lips don't match. Low. What the fuck is this Frankenstein? Charles Austin, soft, plump lips. Well, if you read the review in Variety, someone must have been masturbating while talking about Ezra Miller. It was that bad. So these are the reasons, and there's so many more reasons why this movie failed. But their arrogance took them over. This was the best CBM David Zaslav ever saw. Liar. James Gunn said it's one of the best CBMs he's ever seen. Liar. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for the studio. It's embarrassing for the people involved. And there was no utterance, no syllable of honesty about this movie. This is not black and white. This is not simply whether the Flash movie is a good movie or a bad movie. There's a good movie in there somewhere, but the presentation is disgustingly bad. They embarrassed Andy Muschietti, and then Muschietti has got his name on this, and just before the movie's released, just to plump up hype for the box office, they announced they were giving him the Brave and the Bold movie. How does that make sense? How do you give someone who's basically directed a flop with bad presentation the promotion of a Batman movie? You couldn't make it up. It's like those babies they threw out the hospital window are actually running WB now, right? It's insane. Don't get me started. Do not get me started on those babies. I mean, I can't believe how modern entertainment, how far it's fallen. Basically, let me give you an analogy for modern entertainment. It's like pulling up a chair on the freeway and watching 60 cars smash one after the other. Who used to watch Benny Hill? It's as comical as that. It's insane how incompetent these people are. And they are incompetent. They forgot for a very long time who's running this show. It's us, the consumer. They insulted us. They disrespected us. They've called us a toxic fandom. They've called us every name under the sun. But like us or not, we are in charge. And if we don't give you our money, you're screwed. Now, this industry and beyond this film, beyond DC, beyond WB, is on its fucking knees. and their incompetence and their creative bankruptcy has brought them to this, and their arrogance. Kal-El, not a penny, is in full effect. And that's it. Meanwhile, Zack Snyder, who's the king of timing, while they're crying into their lattes, decided to release a sizzle reel of Rebel Moon, where we saw the perfection of VFX and cinematography. And it's amazing how Snyder does it. He basically kills people with kindness. He never has to raise his voice. He did his thing. He got his movie released in the end, while he watches the dominoes fall over WB and DC Studios. DC Studios, that's a bit of a joke, isn't it? It's a miserable excuse for a studio right now. Kal-El, Rebel Moon looked gangster. I agree. As fuck, lol. Snyder, with a limited budget, still can't be touched. It's beautiful. You wouldn't expect anything less. Snyder is an artist. We know that. He gave us 3 brilliant DC movies, and they panicked, but there also was something else going on. There were people at that studio that didn't want Snyder to succeed. And by the way, they're hiding in plain sight. They're still at that studio. Now, I understand that we'll never see the continuation of the Snyderverse. I get that. But they're left with one hell of a rubble to sort out. Now, if they were smart, they would bring Cavill back at the very least. That would give them some positive hype. But they're not going to do that. They're auditioning inexperienced actors on the Warner Brothers lot. You couldn't make it up. This was going on while all hell was breaking loose on social media and with box office analysts. So it's just amazing. But that ending of the Flash movie sums them up. Not only did we get a piss poor ending, we saw Ezra Miller's tooth fall out. Is that funny? Is that a joke? Am I supposed to he laugh? I don't know. The only thing I'm laughing about is them. They failed. They failed. This movie wasn't made to give you an experience. This movie was made as an excuse to move away from what's gone before. And then there's the biggest elephant in the room. Why in the hell did they announce Safran and Gunn before these movies were released? Basically, if it were me, and I've said this before, I would have got Hamada, grabbed him by the hair and said, "You're staying here. Watch your mess unfold. Take responsibility." It will be the ultimate bogwash, right? How does that guy get away with this? How does that guy get to disappear in the Warner Brothers bathroom, right? As you Americans call the toilet. He gets to hide, and James Gunn has to deal with this now. And what's worse, he's been putting himself in the mire, in a mess that had nothing to do with him. He's been promoting these movies. Go and watch them, and you're putting yourself, in the frame. And there was no need to do this because DC Studios, Safran and Gunn should never have been announced till 2024. Then they could have announced the removal of Hamada. They did it all wrong. Mick, the fans have been speaking with their wallets for 7 years. We make the demands and they must supply. This is business. But they don't run entertainment. They act like they want to run it like a business, but they don't make intellectual business decisions. The DCEU is an example how you do not conduct yourself within the framework of a company and a business, right? From day one, they had a problem. They decided to bring in Snyder and Nolan. That's what they wanted to do. And then they didn't work out what was going to happen. You brought him in, right? There's a section of DC fans who don't like him because of Watchmen. But you allowed Nolan to bring him in. There was a plan set up. But then you wanted to recycle that plan instead of, at the very least, just say, We've had creative differences. Start from scratch. But they didn't even do that. They didn't even do that. They've been digging themselves a crater for more than 7 years, by the way. This has been a big problem. But at the end of the day, they could have allowed Snyder to finish his shit. But the Flash movie, that's why it's failed. And there's many reasons. Basically, karma is a bitch. Karma is a bitch at the end of the day. And the biggest thing, despite everything else they were doing with this movie, toxically, it was not involving Henry Cavill. They talked about respecting Zack Snyder. They were talking about making the Snyderverse canon. They were talking about treading in Man of Steel. How the fuck can you tread in Man of Steel when the guy who starred in the bloody movie wasn't even there? How is that respect? It doesn't make sense. You don't make any sense. If I got my nephews and nieces to run Warner Brothers, they would do a better job. Blue Beetle Animator. This movie has never intended to be a genuinely great Barry Allen story. It was used as a tool. Well done, Blue Beetle Animator. You have hit the shit with the bog roll. That's exactly right. This was an okay movie to watch in the cinema, but let's be absolutely clear. They could have given us a much better Barry Allen, a much better Flash movie, should I say. We could have had the Rogues Gallery, Captain Cold, all these great characters. We could have had Killer Frost. The Flash is full of great characters. They did nothing. They didn't even give us Reverse Flash. They kill Nora Allen. They don't tell us what happened. It's a systematic mess. A bunch of 3-year-olds would have done a better job. Who does this? Barry Allen has got this great Rose Gallery. And you know what? The Flash's Suicide Squad cameo did a better job of representing his rivalry between his rogues when he comes against Captain Boomerang, right? On Honor Amongst Thieves, he says, brilliantly, like Barry Allen would say it. And he stops him, and it's fun, and it's brilliant. That is the Flash that we could have seen, that we deserve to see. But these incompetent fools didn't do that. Kal-El, what? Kal-El, Blue Beetle, what program do you use? Kal-El for animation, Blender, Houdin. Kal-El, I'm a 3ds Max Maya user. It's like you're talking a foreign language. Where are we? Blue Beetle Animator. The guys beside me in the cinema kept on grunting. I felt embarrassed. Listen, you shouldn't be embarrassed. The company should be embarrassed. But I promise you that James Gunn is going to write a thread this thick blaming the fans or talking shit, that I've had messages about this and messages about that, because that's a guy who doesn't know when to, and that's the problem. His ego has gotten the better of him far too many times. You shouldn't have even been announced till 2024, son. But you couldn't wait. You were too excited. I'd be excited too. It's a great opportunity, James. But Hamada should have remained there till his last piece of shit was released. He would have taken the blame. This is the crazy thing about the situation. You leave Hamada there, you let him take the blame, then you come in your white horse, right, and then, what's his name? Safran comes in, probably in a Skoda or something. They come out, we're the saviours, those movies flopped last year, we're going to wipe the slate clean. But these decisions, they're weird. Cavill's Superman. No, Cavill's not Superman. Oh, I didn't fire Henry Cavill. Where is he then? Where is he? Where is he? I can't see him. Where's Henry Cavill? You fired him. I just chose not to use him. You bullshitting, mate. At least be honest. You fired Henry Cavill. I don't care if he didn't have a contract. The company announced he was coming back. You came in and said you're not going with him. That is firing someone. When I worked in a toy shop and lied that I didn't mind heights, and they found out I was scared of heights and I lied, I got fired. I didn't actually have a contract at all, but I still got fired. They didn't turn around and say, "Oh, we just decided not to go with you anymore." Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. Fundamentally, this studio keeps on, delivering us incompetence after incompetence. And there's a lot of smart asses on Twitter who think they know why this happened and why that happened. And I have been on point covering this film from the very, very beginning, because it's not even about the Flash movie. That's the thing. It's not about the Flash movie. I'm not mocking the actors. I'm not mocking Ezra or Kiersey or Keaton or Sasha. I don't have any issue with those people. They're working actors, right? Ezra's conduct cannot be defended, right? But a lot of people worked very hard to put that movie together. And I respect that. It's your studio. It's your employers that have hung you out to dry. Like they did Snyder and Joss Whedon and the cast for Justice League, because Joss Whedon's conduct on that film was because the actors were winding him up, because they didn't want him there. And he didn't want them there. They didn't want each other. I don't really blame Whedon or the cast. I blame the studio. The studio set that up. They offered Whedon the golden ticket of Batgirl. I think Whedon would have made a great Batgirl movie, by the way. Whedon had great quality as a creative. He may not be a very good human being, but as a creative, all you have to do is watch Buffy. All you have to do is watch his other shit. And at the end of the day, he did make one of the best CBMs of all time in Avengers. That cannot be doubted. So if they allowed him to make his own Justice League movie, not recycle Zack's movie, then Joss would have given us something special. No question about that. Kal-El, hit the likes for Mick. Thank you, Cal. Waz007. Hi, Mick. Good evening, Waz. Always great to have you on the live chat. This is Sunday Night Live with me, Mick, and we're giving the autopsy. We're opening up the Flash and trying to work out what went wrong with it. I've listed many, many reasons. I could be here till the next millennia telling you why this movie failed. But over at WB Central, they're scratching their asses and heads because they're so deluded. They shouldn't be in their positions. If I was running them, if I was making their decisions, I could do it. You could do it. Because it's not very hard to run a DC connected franchise. It's not rocket science. It's not that fucking difficult. If you don't know the comics, you open up a fucking comic and you go, yeah. Do you know what a comic is? It's a few pages, right, of speech bubbles and artwork. Comic books are not fucking complicated. It's not like I've got to open the Opus to Lord of the fucking Rings. It's so basic. Waz007, I agree with you, Joss Whedon. Waz007, me and son watched just Black Adam. And I think Black Adam's probably a more competent movie than the Flash movie for a lot of reasons. I went in there and watched the Flash movie, the theatrical-like version, and I thought, yeah, I understand what they're trying to do here. It's okay, right? I can watch this. It's not a bad movie. It's bad in places, and the writing is bad in places. It's an inconsistent movie. Now, going back to Superman Returns, they had a similar issue with VFX. They had inconsistent VFX, and they had an inconsistent movie, but you could tell what they were attempting to do. The Flash movie isn't a film. It's a bunch of things that they're checking off as they're going along. And I could tear this film apart for you very, very easily. The way it starts suddenly, the action. It's like, why did you show us all the Batfleck action in the trailers, right? He's not in it, barely. He's not even the actor on the fucking bike. It's a stunt person, right? And they CGI his head on, and it looks awful. And it looks awful in the marketing, the trailers. Kal-El, Gunn has yet to make $1 billion film, correct? That's right, Cal. I've been saying that for weeks now. Charles Austin, Kal-El, correct? Kal-El, wow, the mind boggles. So now, if we want to talk about James Gunn, and why Zaslav went for him. I think Zaslav went for other people before James Gunn. And then Safran had the gig before James Gunn did. Basically, they decided to make Safran, who'd already produced a multitude of DC pictures via his production banner, they decided for him to be the production head, you know, the suit of the DC Studios outfit. That was their decision. Now, I always liked Safran because he seemed a good guy when he spoke, and he was speaking at a time when Hamada was in hiding, right? So he seemed like an intelligent guy. So I think they approached other people. We know that Zaslav wanted Todd Phillips to be the creative head with Safran and not James Gunn. It's obvious that Gunn was the last man on campus that they approached. It's a bit like Andy Muschietti doing Brave and the Bold. He wasn't their first choice. I say this a lot. They went with other people. Affleck, an A24 director, and probably many more. And all those people said no. And that's the thing. Charles Austin, 12 watching, only 4 likes. Stop lurking and hit that like. Exactly, Charlie. Couldn't have said it better myself. Waz 007. Yes, David went other people run DC films. So, yeah, I mean, look, is it important that he hasn't made $1 billion movie? Well, not if he's not going to be a director and he's the creative, but he's gonna be making these movies. He's going to be writing these movies, handing his ideas over to a director, and he's going to say do A, B, and C. And that's how it's going to work. Callow, if Snyder had directed that baby shower scene, it would have gone nuclear. Exactly. If Snyder did that, they would have gone apeshit because it's a scene in poor taste and it's there just for laughs. Reno Jack, crazy how Gunn assumed Affleck would be in and he straight up said no. Not only did he say no, he said no in a Hollywood Reporter interview. That's how bad the situation was. Because the truth is, Affleck was never happy to be part of the Flash movie. It was a fucking contractual obligation. The same with Michael Shannon. And Michael Shannon rinsed them publicly. I didn't enjoy coming back, he said. It wasn't a great experience. It wasn't all that, right? I didn't like the way they treated Zach. I mean, Shannon is ruthless. Shannon just doesn't care. They asked him who would win out of Batman and Superman and BVS. He goes, I don't care. The man's always been ruthless. He had to apologize to Zach for falling asleep during BVS. I mean, Shannon's a nutcase. Blue Beetle Animator, exactly. The marketing was so deceiving. It's 2 Barry's movie, not Flash, Supergirl, and Batman movie. Yes, in the poster, we got Supergirl and Batman. Supergirl's in it for 5 minutes. Keaton's in it for barely 20 minutes. And they sold the movie on the premise that this was a Flashpoint Supergirl movie, a Keaton Batman movie, and a Flash movie. That's not what it is. They fumbled about for nearly an hour and a half on the 2 Barrys. All they wanted to do was waste time on filler. But this is what happens when you get inexperienced people to make movies. You know, Andy, bless him, he's a very inexperienced director. We must be clear about that. Blue Beetle Animator, exactly. The marketing was so deceiving. It's too... Oh, no, I've already read that. Bat Super, I think my comment disappeared, but they have put The Flash up for $25 pre-order on Google Play, and they are using a picture of Gronk. Boom, boom! Jesus Christ. They're so embarrassed of Ezra Miller and the rest of them. Now they're trying to use Paul Grant to sell the movie. I mean, it's ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, if only they put Grant Gustin in the movie. Go figure, eh? Charles Austin. I mean, look, it's hilarious. I mean, it is crazy. I know a lot of people liked the It remake, but I thought several scenes had such bad CGI. It took me out of the film entirely. Well, if you're saying the It movie had bad CGI, then that explains a lot. And the guy went and said he did the bad CGI on purpose. I mean, again, you couldn't make it up, could you? Bat Super, they are so desperate. They are. And we've seen the desperation within the way they've tried to sell this movie. They've come across like Del Boy and Arthur Daly. Nice little earner, James. A nice little earner, David Zaslav. We'll suck them in. The best movie since The Great Dictator. The best movie since The Godfather. The best movie since The fucking Deer Hunter. They're going to eat this up and fall for it. Keaton, yeah, remember Barry Keaton? We're going to get those suckers. And it didn't work. It didn't work. Because people weren't looking for Michael Keaton. Because people would have preferred Jeffrey D. Morgan. Because guess what they would have said? As well as it being Thomas Wayne, you know, the version in the graphic novel, it's also, you know, someone that everyone recognizes from The Walking Dead. The man has been giving brilliant performances. Bat Super, they are, no, I read that. Kal-El, it's depressing as fuck. I love DC. I'm a DC only fan since birth. I hate this whole situation and it's not getting better. Gunn is a Charles Austin, desperate time calls for desperate measures. Kal-El, Bat Super, Charles Austin, Waz 007. Can WBD sell DC? Of course they can. I don't know if they will. You're asking the wrong person there, I'm afraid. So it's a tale of incompetence and creative bankruptcy. This movie was always going to fail, Ezra Miller or not. That's the truth. And I won't hear it that this is all down to Miller. You know, and it was on the cards. The decisions they were making didn't make sense. Then they got rid of Hamada, and then they made even more changes to this film. What Hamada did with this film was bad enough. And they tried to sell us a lemon, and Keaton was part of it. We're going to make everything in DC canon. Exciting, isn't it? Until you realise we're going to make everything in DC canon, including George Clooney, but not Henry Cavill. Everyone's canon, apart from Henry Cavill. I know they showed that stupid CGI scene from him being, you know, fighting the Justice League. But it's all very predictable. And people don't believe it when you tell them. Nobody believes the warnings. You know, the warning signs were there. It was obvious. And people thought, yeah, this is it. They must be confident. CinemaCon, baby. But it wasn't real confidence. They tried their best to get good word of mouth. They were really, really relying on this film. Because I don't know what they think of Blue Beetle, but that film can't make $1 billion. Waz 007, what happened? Blue Beetle and Aquaman 2 flop. James Gunn might have quit after Aquaman 2. I don't know about that. I think the point is he won't go unless his work actually fails. So I don't think he's going to quit over other people's movies. Waz 007, Warner Brothers Discovery need make Man of Steel 2. This is the reason they announced part 1 of Gods and Monsters, and they were planning after they screened the Flash movie at CinemaCon to announce the rest. We know that because good sources like the Hollywood Reporter told us. Then they realized their mistake in teasing everything else before releasing these movies. And people realizing that none of this mattered anymore. This was all irrelevant. Now, because they've cottoned on, they're saying Blue Beetle is the first movie in the DCU. That is their latest trick, because you can't miss that one or you won't get it. Well, actually, you will, because they've admitted this film is just self-contained. It doesn't really matter if you watch it or not. And it's not really, going to give you any clues about the future Gunn has planned. So you can miss it and it wouldn't really matter. It's like missing that episode of Lost when you got those two castaways that basically got buried underground and nobody wondered where they went afterwards. Waz 007, I hope Blue Beetle will be here. We'll see. I mean, it would be great for it to be a hit. I hope it's a good movie. This is the movie that says that Batman is a fascist. Yeah, good plan. Good plan. That should go down really well, shouldn't it? Calling Batman a fascist. And this is where we are. Excuse me, let me put my charger on. Nearly forgot about that. I would have been cut off for good. I would have been cut off more than Zaslav and Gunnar are right now. So imagine they were selling this movie as one of the pinnacles, one of the best CBMs ever. And the media and the influencers were backing their bullshit up. And that's the worst thing. Blue Beetle Animated, the hype is dead considering the hype was fake. The hype wasn't real. The hype was fake. And not only does this expose Gunn and Saffron and the rest of that stupid studio, it exposes the influencers as well. And it exposes them all as liars. Where are they now? They don't care. They suckered everyone into the cinemas. Well, everyone who's going to go. Not a lot of people did go to cinemas, but the people that did. So the hype was fake. They were trying to create fake hype and fake word of mouth. And even that didn't get people in theatres. Just imagine, not even their bullshit tricked people into going. The box office, the opening 3 days, is lower than they projected. Now, this is a 4-day weekend. So what are they going to go up to? I mean, it's 55 right now, I think. And I predicted it. The three-day weekend, as I predicted earlier, is 130 million. Now, the 4-day weekend will jump up a bit. I don't know what that will be. Maybe 145. But this movie isn't going to perform any miracles now. That's it. It's done. It will drop off next week. They'll be lucky to make 400 million because basically it's opened up lower than the first Shazam and Black Adam. And they were mocking The Rock. Well, fancy that. Blue Beetle Animated. Gunn said Blue Beetle is part of the DCU. Yes, of course he did. Because he's cotton on when it's too late. Because he knows why people aren't turning up for the other movies. Because they're a dead end. So he's decided to say, well, Blue Beetle is part of the future. You better watch it. This is desperation, my friend. Reno Jack, your dad will hate you if you take him to see The Flash for Father's Day. Well, luckily for me, not luckily, I miss my father a great deal, but he's no longer with us, so I can't take him anywhere. I did want to take him to see Elvis, but he didn't last that long, I'm afraid. Kal-El, Batman could never thank Wonder Woman because of his inflated ego and should really give his money away instead of fighting crime. The BAP writer needs her fingers. You said that, not me. But this is the problem when extremists write movies, right? Because these extremists really believe that if Batman just gave his money away, he wouldn't need to be Batman. That's what they always say. It wasn't funny. It was lame. It was poorly executed. You are right about everything apart from breaking her fingers. I think that's a bit too far. But yes, this is the extremists. And every time they try it, they fail. Disney's on its knees. WB is on its knees. She tried to be a little bit woke there, didn't she? She tried to be a little bit clever, and it didn't work. And poor Ben Affleck had to deliver those lines. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. I bet you any money Hodgson never writes another DC movie again. He did announce her for his writing team, but I think she's going to vanish very quickly. We know she's doing Fast 11. Who the fuck lets that woman on their movies? I don't get it. I'm not saying she did a bad job. Some of the stuff was good. I've complimented her before. So I've got to be careful. But, you know, I think the writing for this movie is a better job than she's done before. But what she got Batman to say is pathetic. But this is where we are in this industry, full of activists, extremists, and people who don't care about you wanting to be entertained. They think you're not important. That's how fucking stupid and drowned on their own agendas they are. Reno Jack, I will boycott DC until the Batman 2 comes out. Well, I'm looking forward to Joker 2, then the Batman 2. Reno Jack, why do they keep making Fast and the Furious movies? Well, they make a bit of money. That's why. I know this one's barely made 600 million, but that's still a profit, my friend. Those movies don't actually cost very much. It's just a bunch of cars that they write off, right? It ain't CG or anything. They probably do use CG, but it ain't expensive. I reckon the Fast and the Furious movies barely cost 100 million. I don't even think the cast is that expensive. I mean, how much money does it cost to have Michelle Rodriguez, right? Not much. And the rest of them. Reno Jack, oh no, I've already read that. And so that's why they make them. They make money. Those movies don't even have to make $1 billion. But they're going to make one more, I think. Is number 11, I think, the last one. And then they're going to start doing spin-offs. They'll never fucking stop. Smash the like button, everyone. If you love me, let me feel some love. I'm feeling very, very unwanted. I'm feeling like Ezra Miller, James Gunn, and David Zaslav on a bad night. If you found me on the Lost Island and you said, Mick, guess what? There's this movie that's been released called The Flash. It's solid, nothing special. They called it the best movie ever. They said it's one of the best CBMs. It's as good as The Dark Knight and Superman the movie, right? If you told me that, and then I found out that it was all a lie, I wouldn't believe. It's like I wouldn't believe you could talk. If I didn't know these people, and I don't know them, but know what they're like, I wouldn't believe it. It's unbelievable how they attempted to sell this sack of shit. Bright colours, gags. And the only thing that actually works in this film, and it's ironic, is the performance of Miller creating this dynamic between the two Barrys. That works because when he sacrifices himself in the end, the young Barry, you feel there was a dynamic, there was a mentor relationship there. It worked. It's amazing that actor created that with the director. They did that. And it's the only good thing that works in the movie. And if this wasn't a superhero film, Miller, and he wasn't basically they wasn't the person that they are, then I think they will be celebrating him or them at awards season because it is that's the only good thing. What his performance as two characters is a great accomplishment, but no one's going to say that, and people are going to laugh at me, right? And say, how can you say that? But it's a great accomplishment. That's the only good thing about the movie. Nothing else for me really works. I enjoyed the Cage cameo, I'll be honest. But mainly, nothing from the movie. Not Keaton. Calais was great, but she was there too little. And I said it before, she's supposed to be the version of Flashpoint Superman. Well, if you read the comic book, the Flashpoint graphic novel, if you see the animated movie, Flashpoint Superman is struggling for a long time. But she basically just gets up, boom, she's all right, and she's fighting Zod. And why does she need that fucking pole to impale him? Why don't she just fucking fight him? She doesn't actually need a weapon. She's a superpowered alien. I don't get it. Reno Jack, just not my taste in a film personally, I guess. I haven't seen one Fast movie. I've never seen Fast and the Furious or any of them, my friend. It ain't my type of movie either. But they make money. So when they make money, they're going to keep on making them, aren't they? Just the way that it is. I was under no illusions with this movie. So I'm not shocked. I'm not disappointed because it was obvious how this was going to end up. Let's start from the beginning. They long range projected the box office 115 to 145. 145 million, everyone. That would have been huge. Bigger than Guardians opened. Guardians opened to 120 domestic. I didn't really believe it. I was shocked that they were long-range projecting it at that. But long-range projection is like basically urinating in pitch black. When the short-range projections came in from data they actually had, then we went to a soft 70 opening. And I was starting to suspect it may open lower over the 3 days than 70 million. Guess what? Mick is right again. And nobody believes him because he hasn't got a lot of numbers by his name, right? People don't say he's the bestest YouTube ever. Sam Dejan Reviews reckons I'm the worst fucking YouTuber ever. That's an achievement, isn't it? Reno Jack, the first one was actually good because the plot was similar to Point Break. Now it's just a CGI lame action movie. Basically, I agree. Reno Jack, Mystic Mick. It's not about magic. It's not about being mystic. It's about logic. It is obvious. It is obvious. Listen, Reno, listen, it's obvious. All you have to do is put the puzzle pieces together, right? We get a Flash movie announced, right? Henry Cavill is not going to be in the movie. This is supposed to be a team-up movie. This is supposed to celebrate 10 years of the DCEU. This is supposed to end the DCEU. And Henry Cavill's not in the movie. That's before they brought him back and got rid of him again. So that's thing number one. And then when you realise that not only are they not using Cavill, but they literally hate Superman so much that they're swapping Flashpoint Superman, which they could have used another actor to play Flashpoint Superman, because Flashpoint Superman is thin, dishevelled, starving, starved of sunlight. So it wouldn't have had to have been Cavill, and it wouldn't have been Cavill because unless you do CGI, it wouldn't have worked, right? So you could have used another actor to play Flashpoint Superman. So no Flashpoint Superman, no Earth 1 Superman, which is Cavill, right? Supergirl. Supergirl replaces Superman. And you're wondering why nobody came to see your fucking movie when you insulted the #1 DC fucking character, let alone what you have Batman saying, like you embarrassed him in Justice League when he did that cringy grin when Superman turns up, like they were gay lovers or something, right? That's Batfleck in Justice League. What's that? Are we supposed... Oh, that's Marvel now. They're all smiling. It's the MCU. Take my money now. They're all smiling. Who needs entertainment? As long as people smile and we got bright colours, that's all we want, right? Don't get me started on that Lasso of fucking Truth gag that they recycled from Justice League. Or the fact that Michael J. Fox isn't in Back to the Future. How does that work out? So basically, he messed up events, but he affected the past beyond the timeline. I don't know how it works in the graphic novel, by the way. Charles Austin, in other words, James Gunn is getting what he wanted to turn DC into the MCU. Well, listen, he's creating an interconnected franchise. I don't know what he's going to do, what the tone of it's going to be. We'll have to wait and see. Reno Jack, they took the stoicism out of the DC characters, which is one of my favourite aspects of it. Yeah, I love what Snyder did, and I'm never going to back down on that. I can criticise, I can nitpick some of the stuff he did, like doing a Superman Rebirth story in a Justice League movie. I don't think that's the best of ideas, but I'm nitpicking. But his quality as a filmmaker, as you say, the stoicness, the epicness, the brutality, the emotion, the character arcs, the building up of the world buildings is all fabulous. Kal-El, why are Warner Brothers Discovery not making products for their consumer? Why do they ignore the hands that feed them? No other business could survive with that business model. Well done, Cal. But it's not just them doing this. It's not just about Snyder or DC or any of that. They're all doing it. Every single studio, every single network, every single streaming service think they can survive without the customer. They think they can give us the moldy cheese. Take the moldy cheese. There's nothing fucking wrong, you man, baby, with moldy cheese. Eat it. Eat it. Go on. It's good for you. Go on. I made it for you. I'm an elite filmmaker. Fucking eat the moldy cheese. And that's the attitude they've got. That's their attitude. Angry fans. I heard one director going on about angry fans don't understand how our industry works. Well, first of all, I do know how your industry works. You're all paedophiles, murderers, drug pushers, and fucking junkies. And you bribe the LAPD to hide your crimes. But let's pretend I don't know how your system works, right? Let's pretend we don't know how your system works. I shouldn't I don't have to know how you make the cheese as long as it's not fucking moldy. And that's the point. Charles Austin, exactly, Reno. Jack, that stoic hero's journey. Kal-El, Gunn is a narcissist who doesn't care about the MCU either. The biggest hack in Hollywood. Kal-El, Mick on fire. Waz 007. I hit like, Mick. Thank you very much. I'm grateful to you. Anyone else in the chat who's not, even if you don't disagree with me, if you're in this chat, if you've been in this chat for any length of time, just smash the like button. I won't charge you. It's not a monetized channel. You don't have to pay for me to read out your comments. It's just a fan reading out the faults of fans. We are equal. We are level. I'm not better than you just because I'm standing here in front of a camera. I've just got a bit of self-confidence. That's it. Doesn't make me better than you. I'm just a fan like you. We're here together, right? And it's fun. That's all it is. Charles Austin, yeah, Mick is laying down the truth. Reno Jack, I hit the like before sending my first message. That's how it should be done. It's similar to paying for admission for the Mick show. Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. No one's required to hit the like button, but it is very much appreciated when you do, because the likes and the comments, that's how you get noticed. I tell you what, I tell you one YouTuber I'm loving at the moment, The Critical Drinker. He's very, very good, actually. Of course, he's not really a drinker. It's all bullshit. I've never seen that guy pissed once. But yeah, I do like, I mean, anyone who comes up with a platform called The Critical Drinker has got my respect. That is insane, and it works. I like the whole with the whiskey, the scotch, and all of that. That is mad. Madness. Some of the things ordinary people are doing on YouTube, I think, is amazing. Reno Jack, do you ever watch V Infuso? No. What is it? Is it a drink? Bat Super. People are hungry for real movies with these characters. Those are the movies that will last, and the theme park movies will fail. Yes, Bat Super. This is why the Joker made over $1 billion. That's why the sequel will make over $1 billion. And it hasn't cost very much money to do it either. That's why the Batman 2 will make $1 billion, because people respect Matt. Because when Matt Reeves speaks, he's a harmless man with no ego, showing you how much he loves Batman, how much he understands this, right? And he gave us an experience. I know there's this war between Batfleck fans and Battinson fans, but that's just bullshit. Because I respect Matt as much as I respect Zach. These are all tours. They really want to give us an experience, and that's why Todd Phillips and Matt Reeves' movies won't be part of the agenda and the arguments. People will go and support those movies. They're the type of movies that are the future of DC, not this interconnected bullshit. But Zaslav got money hungry, dollar signs right in his eyes, and he thought, yeah, let's be like Marvel. Let's do an interconnected franchise. We can do it. James Gunn worked for Marvel. It's perfect. Is it? We'll soon find out. I can't wait for the day he announces the casting for Superman, because I tell you what, it better be the best casting ever. Well, you better find yourself a hiding place, James. And that is the truth of the matter. Where are we? Reno Jack, he's a YouTube that does a lot of DC critique videos, some good, some bad. I've never heard of him, I must admit. I probably have seen his videos, I just can't recall the name. Waz 007, I enjoy superheroes. Charles Austin, this all started with Gunn's ego when he was working on Dawn of the Dead. His script was rewritten by someone chosen by Snyder, and Gunn has felt slighted ever since. Let's be real about that. Well, Charles, I didn't even know that. I didn't realize Snyder got the script rewritten. That's very interesting. Bat Super Zaslav doesn't know what the hell he's doing. Understatement of the year. Blue Beetle Animator. Batman is getting back pain for carrying DC for the past 20 years. Waz 007. I wish Pierce Brosnan should 2 more James Bond films. Yeah, they retired him too early, Waz. Charles Austin. Yep. Waz 007. Pierce Brosnan better than Daniel Craig. I liked Craig until he's a nutter. He's an extremist as well, by the way. I mean, when he finished off as Bond, he was talking about how he hates straight blokes, hates straight bars. Did you see that lovely pink suit he wore? These people, mate, they're all fucking nuts. They should all be in Arkham Asylum. All of them. They're nutters. They're all nutters. We used to have superstars, females and males of great gravitas. What have we got now? Charles Austin, and ever since Gunn has been trying to ride Snyder's coattails, it doesn't really matter, right? If that's what he's doing, because Snyder won anyway. He's winning every day. He's well out of it. Snyder's well out of it. Kal-El, the only Bond movies I've seen are the Timothy Dalton ones. He's an excellent actor. Yes, Timothy was in Flash Gordon. He's a theatrical actor. He was in Doctor Who, The End of Time Part 1 and 2. Brilliant actor. Great Bond. And I don't know why Bond fans didn't like him at the time. License to Kill is one of my favourite Bond movies. A bit Americanized. Oh, yeah, that's true. But it's a very good film. And one of my favourite composers composed that movie, Michael Kamen, the late Michael Kamen. He did Lethal Weapon, he did Die Hard 2. He was such a great composer. My name's Bond. James Bond. Let's do it. Do what, Mr. Bond? Oh, I think you know what we're going to be doing. Shall I unbutton your blouse? I miss the alpha male characters. I miss the way it was, right? Oh, that man, baby. Look at him miss the old days. That's right. It was awesome. It was great. Now all we're doing is fighting with each other. Kal-El, when I was a child, the License to Kill poster with those sexy ladies made my stomach flutter, lol, lol, lol. I don't think it was my stomach fluttering, and I don't think it was your stomach fluttering. But the one with short hair. Oh, and the other one, the tanned one. She was the Latinx girl. Oh my God. That would have been the threesome of my life. The threesome of my life. Waz 007, Tim. Bond. James Bond. His name's Gunn. James Gunn. His name's Zaslav. David Zaslav. The Flash movie is the greatest movie I've ever seen. And you can buy that for $1. Con man. You know that's the only... I don't think he's seen any of the Hamada movies. I bet you any money that geezer... Do you remember what he said? Ages ago, he goes... When he did the financial call, he goes... I've seen all the movies. They're great, he goes, and we can make them better. Well, you didn't make the Flash movie better. You removed Cavill, Gadot from the end. You removed Keaton and Sasha Calle from the end. And you brought in George Clooney. How the fuck is that making them better, Mr. Zaslav? We really thought he was going to be our saviour. We're so thick. We always believe every time there's someone new coming in, we believe this is it. Kal-El, facts, Mex. Zaslav is a billionaire clown. He is. And I mean, he was doing a speech at a college the other day, and even they were fucking mocking him. The man's a joke. They're all a joke. We had titans of industry running this industry. We've got nothing now. Nothing. It's over. The game is over. Like when I used to play Bomb Jack on the C64. Game over. When I play Mario and it says game over. The entertainment game is over. Instead of making movies, right? If you make good movies that create an experience for your audience, you'll make money. It is so easy and it's straightforward. But instead of that, they were conning us about The Flash because they knew they couldn't sell the movie. And they had a problem with Miller, of course. We had the director saying working with Miller was the greatest experience of his life. Are you fucking joshing me, Andy? The greatest experience of your life. Why are you lying? You will never work with that person again. Never. And you know it. The way they lie. I mean, look, I tell you what. I mean, I've never known such a disingenuous group of people. They act and pretend they're the biggest, best moral people, but they're not. They're a joke. And now they're a joke. They're being exposed for the idiots they are. The next big laugh will be Indiana Jones and the dial of rewriting history, right? And it just gets worse and worse for these people. They don't have any idea what they're doing. Kello, they conned us with the trailers for Justice League. Yep, not one bit of advertised footage appeared in the film. That's very true. And it looked so epic. Those trailers were great, by the way. Bad Super Zaslav chose not to have the new Bruce Timm Batman animated show on HBO Max. Such an insane thing to do. Yes, because he's desperate for money. And that's why he's selling everything off, apart from his grandmother. If she was still alive, he probably would try and sell her. Kal-El, the emasculation of Indiana Jones. Exactly. That nutter woman is basically the focal point of that movie. And she isn't very good either. And this is where we are in this injury, but it is an injury, but an industry today. This is where we are. And it's just going to get worse and worse before it gets better. I don't think it gets better within our lifetimes, by the way. I just don't see it. There'll be some winners. There'll be some good films like The Joker 2, The Batman 2, Dune Part 2. There'll be some good ones. Maybe Charlie and the Chocolate Factory will be good. Maybe Wonka will be good. Maybe it won't be good. We'll wait and see. A lot of the movies that were waiting to come out weren't greenlit by Zaslav. They were greenlit by Emmerich. Presley was greenlit by Emmerich. June 2, I think, was. I know that they agreed. I think AT&T may have greenlit that as well. So all the good movies were already greenlit before these clowns came in. So what's going to happen when Emmerich's movies run out? And I mean, we thought Emmerich was a joke, but he did greenlight some good movies. Oh, they hate straight white males and they love emasculating straight white males. They are not all there. You are dealing with a bunch of nutters. Charles Austin, Kal-El, indeed, brother, exactly. The emasculation of not just Indiana Jones, but every straight white male they get their hands on. That's why they're rebooting every property. And and what's weird is, even though they keep on failing, they're so triggered by men, they won't stop. They'd rather go bankrupt and rewrite history than rather than make good entertainment. They can't be helped. They're like the child who keeps on eating too many sweets, even though he's 20 fucking stone. And he wonders why he's fat, but he keeps on eating. That's what they're like. They make dud after dud after dud, and they won't stop. These are people who want to destroy this industry, I think, not uplift it. Because otherwise, why would you make these decisions? Doesn't make sense. Nothing they do bears any logic or fruit whatsoever. Who wakes up in the morning and goes, oh, I know, let's put George Clooney, the shittest Batman in the end of the Flash movie. Who does that? Kal-El, it's clear Zaslav is asset stripping DC. Why doesn't he just sell it? Yes, he is asset stripping DC. Mainly because he doesn't have a choice. And if you are asset stripping something, Cal, it's very difficult to sell it afterwards because it's worthless. So you're not going to be able to sell it for much. So I don't know. Look, like weird decisions like basically rebooting Harry Potter for streaming. And I know why he's doing that. It wouldn't surprise me if he sells that off as well. But if they cancel the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom movie, right? And they announce that Momoa won't be Aquaman going forward, the shit will hit the fans. Because I think it's going to happen. I don't see Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom being released. The more I think about it, the more obvious it looks to me. So let's see if Mystic Mick gets that one right. It's one hell of a mess, everyone. One hell of a mess. And I can't even spin it. I can't even say, well, let's be positive. What can I think of to be positive? Nothing. It's another movie. Because I remember the early days of the DCEU. I used to be one of these people, Shields, defending it all. Oh, the box office is not bad. It's fine. It's just negative people saying it's bad. It's only now I see it for what it is. A disaster. Charles Austin, Kal-El, yep, something stinks. And we're not getting the full story. Oh, we never get the full story. Because I said this from the very beginning. We got DC Studios. Who's employed by DC Studios? He's brought a couple of people in. It doesn't make sense. None of it makes sense. It doesn't even feel like anything's really going on. And soon they're going to run out of DCEU movies. So let's see what happens with this Superman legacy. It's going to be interesting, isn't it? He's certainly, I mean, Gunn is certainly acting like he's making a Superman movie. But you're right. Something doesn't sniff right with this whole thing. So, but they won't be able to hide forever. You know, as I say, these DCEU movies are running out. Time is running out. They've announced a release date for only Superman Legacy. There's no release date for Brave and the Bold, Swamp Thing, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. They announced that, slate, but a slate's just a list of movies. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's like Kathleen Kennedy announcing all those Star Wars films, where you can announce them. It doesn't mean they have to happen. She announced Rogue Squadron, and now it's not happening. Kal-El, BOP was disgusting. They made Black Mask into a feminine fashion designer, yet that production team is still at DC. Exactly. They fail upwards. This is what they do. They made an extremist, third-wave feminist movie, and they made Black Mask the toxic male. That's what it was all about. And they blew up his private parts in the end. Basically, I don't know why they didn't just get a sledgehammer and smash us over the fucking head with it, right? This is Hollywood today. And everyone's exposing them. Everybody hates them. The audience hate them. The consumer hates them. They hate each other. And it goes from bad to worse. Birds of Prey was a terrible film. And the way that Kathy Yan dressed those women on purpose to make sure that they weren't attractive at all, that they weren't feminine at all, because we can't have that now, can we? And this is the problem. When you have activists making entertainment, this is what you're going to get. They're all activists. They're all fucking insane. In the old days, these activists, we used to pat them on the head and give them a cookie. But now, we've actually let them take over every major industry in the world. And this is why we are where we are today. So I agree about Birds of Prey, and it was another flop pre-pandemic. The Flash movie is the 6th box office bomb in the DCEU, back to back. It ain't no fluke, is it? It ain't about the pandemic. It ain't about day and date. They keep on failing. There's a reason for that, isn't there? Let's see how this so-called reset does. It will be very, very interesting, won't it? Right, guys, I'm going to sign off in a minute. It's been another wonderful chat tonight. I'm back here twice a day, every day of the week, live. So the DC Universe Daily, every morning around 10 a.m. UK time, and then in the evening around 8 p.m. UK time, it's the live show. And we've been here for over an hour now. It's been great. I really enjoyed it, but it's getting late. I'm a bit tired and I need some refreshments and whatever else I'm going to do. Watch a movie, chill out, watch YouTube. Who knows what I'm going to do? Kal-El, thanks, Mick. Peace. Peace, my friend. It's been great chatting to you, Cal. Bat Super. See you next video. Thank you, my friend. Kal-El, Charles Austin. Peace. All this love in the chat. That's what I love to see. We can be good to each other. We can be good. We can disagree, but we can have a discussion because that's what adults do. You can say something. I may not agree with you. And I'll say, okay, Charles, I don't agree with that. I think about this. And then we're friends. That's it. We shouldn't be arguing about bloody films, about $1 trillion industry. We don't know where our next penny's coming from. And these fuckers are rolling around in fucking cocaine and fucking donuts, right? And prostitutes and whatever else they're fucking doing, right? And we're arguing about these people. We're arguing about box office. These people are making billions of fucking dollars. And us peasants are arguing. We shouldn't be doing that. Blue Beetle Animator, goodbye. Let's hope DC figures it out. Yeah, you never know. Anything can happen, even miracles. This has been Sunday Night Live here on Movies TV Mad with me, Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wife. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss this beautiful perfection. And I will see you again tomorrow. Until I see you again, goodbye, au revoir, auf Wiedersehen. Ronnie Dodge, hey Mick, seeing it again tomorrow. Hope you enjoy it, Ronnie. I'm signing off for the evening now, but I'll be back tomorrow morning and I'll be back tomorrow evening. Please let me know how you get on with your second helping of the Flash movie. Of course, the box office, Ronnie, is an absolute disaster. Charles Austin, peace out. So yes, thank you very much, everyone. I will be back tomorrow, twice a day, every day. You lucky, lucky people. But you can follow me on Twitter at Movies TV Man. In fact, that's where I'm going now. So I may find you over on Twitter. If I don't, I will see you tomorrow. Ronnie Dodge, see you tomorrow, mate. Thank you for coming in briefly, Ronnie. Really appreciate it. I will see you all later. Bye-bye.